Hello everybody, welcome to Sane Game Studios. I am Sane and I am an amateur game developer. Today I'm going to be doing a devlog in a game that I consider to be about 99% complete, which is a little bit out of the ordinary when it comes to devlogs, because a lot of the time when game developers do devlogs, it's when a game is in the middle of production and they're showing off like what they've done, the struggles they've had, and stuff like that before the game is pretty much complete. But I got this game pretty much complete before I started doing YouTube. So I'm going to kind of retroactively do a devlog on it. If you had watched my first video, which was how I got started in game dev and what I wish I knew, you would have seen a little bit of this game towards the end of that video, where I talked about what I could make versus what I wanted to make. And after spending a long time, like probably well over a year, starting these major projects and then drowning in them, I decided to scale it back. I wish I had figured this out sooner, but I decided to scale it back and make the game that I could make. And then once I made the game that I could make, I figured out how to push my knowledge and create more out of it to try to learn more of what I'm doing on a project that was a much easier bite to chew and swallow. So with that, I'm going to jump into it and I'm just going to preview this game. So this is my game. I'm going to start off actually by deleting my save. As you see, Sane Game Studios, pretty exciting. I deleted my save because this is not my first take on this video, and I wanted to start off with a blank slate. So when you open up the game, the first thing it's going to do is going to ask you to choose a language. The game is fully translated into all of these languages. At the time, I didn't know how to do accented characters with my existing font. I know how to do that now, but at the time I didn't know how. So what I did is, like for French, for example, any character that had an accent on it, like I believe that C is even supposed to have a little squiggly underneath it, I just deleted that letter and then replaced it with a non-accented version. So if you are gonna, if you're a French guy and you go to play this game and you play it in French, it's probably gonna, throw you through a little bit of a loop at first, realizing that none of the accents are there. But I don't think it's really going to affect how well you can understand it. But with that said, I am Canadian and I speak English, so I'm going to choose to play this game in English. So right here, this is my title screen. You guys are all wondering, like, how is this the title screen? It has no title. And that is because I don't have a name for this game yet. If you can think of a name for this game, please comment it down below. I'll even credit you and everything. It's just, I didn't know what I was going to call this game when I made it, and I still don't know what I'm going to call this game. But essentially all it is a 2D endless runner. And when I first started making it, I started off by just making this. Right? And like, honestly, I firmly believe in prototyping the mechanics of your game in this fashion before you even get into bringing in animations and sprites and stuff. But all I did was I just set blocks, and I just made a player block that stands on a ground block and he dodges obstacle blocks. And when I got that working, which honestly didn't take me too long to get this working, I was pretty stoked because all of a sudden I had core mechanics on a game that I knew I would be able to finish. And I did finish it, 99%. I got one more bug I need to iron out, and I need to name it. So I had this, and then if you hit the block, it's game over. And at first, I would just have like a game over thing that would pop up and then like a replay button. But eventually I implemented a currency system, a scoring system, and even a shop system. So when I built this game, I built it, like I said, just with the blocks. And then as I was playing it, I was like, wow, no one's going to want to play this. Like, look at it. You're just a block, standing on a block, dodging blocks. Like, who would care? And honestly, I still kind of feel that way if this was the entirety of the game, because nobody wants to play a game where you're just a block dodging blocks. So I implemented first thing I did is I built a different level, and then I built I built 6 different levels, each with its own sprite character. And then I started bringing in sound effects and everything. And then I had to build the menu system so that you could go from level to level to level to level. But then I was like, hey, so what's going to make it so that you can go from level to level? Like what dictates that? And that's where the currency system comes into play. So whenever you do a run, you're going to get a score, and the game's going to take that score, it's going to divide it by 100, and it's going to round it to the nearest whole number. So that's going to end up being 3.6. It's going to get rounded up to 4. I earned $4 for that run, which then gets added on to my total money. And I can then go into the shop, and you can buy different levels, different sound effects, and different characters. Right? And then if you hover over the different characters, it will show you what they are and what they look like while they're running. This is the dino from the no internet connection Chrome game. I'm probably going to swap this out for a different character in a different level before I actually release this game, because I'm actually not too sure what the licensing is on it. I am going to release this game for free, so I don't know if Google would have a problem with me using it, but I figured I'm probably better off to err on the side of caution for that one. So first thing I'm going to do, just to show you guys the different levels and stuff, is I'm going to go to the settings and credits, and I put this down here for testing purposes so that people testing it can, delete their save file and play around with mechanics and stuff without losing all their progress. So add $100 every time you click that, and now I have $2,200. So I'm going to go to the shop, I'm going to buy this level and select it, and buy that guy and select it, and this is actually the second level that I made. And you see already it's a major improvement. All of a sudden this game looks like something that might be worth playing for a minute rather than the 30 seconds that it was before. You're not just a block dodging blocks, you actually animate, you have a character, he looks like he's running, and the game actually speeds up around you. So as you go, every single frame, the game speed is being increased ever so slightly. It's either by 0.01 or it's 0.001. I'd have to go into my code to look at that for sure, but the game speed is being constantly increased every frame. When you're going to be increasing something by every frame, especially when it's something like game speed, you're going to want to use very small numbers because frames happen a lot. Like this game is running on 60 frames per second. So if I set the game speed to go up by 1 every frame, within 1 second, it would be moving at 60 times the speed, which would just be an unmanageable speed. It actually caps out at 3. So the fastest it'll be going is 3 times the speed. It's like 1168. I earned $12. Right. So then as I did this, I was like, hey, well, I have all these different levels you could buy, different runners I could buy, and then I was bringing in music and sound effects, and I made it so that you could purchase different tracks to listen to while you played it. Personally, most games I play them either on very low volume or muted, so that's one of my probably biggest issues when it comes to game development, is that I don't prioritize sound effects nearly enough, because a lot of times when I'm playing games, I'm either like watching a TV show on the side, or I'm just playing it quietly, like, while the wife sleeps, or I play music or something. But anyways, like if you hit the preview button, it will actually preview the song for each one. I'll go through it and I'll show you guys the different songs that I have. Then if I'm playing this song, which is previewing right now, and I have this song selected, I actually had to initialize a variable that saves which song I have selected, even though it has stopped playing it and started playing a different one, so that when I exit this menu, there isn't a way to cheat through and get songs for free that way. So I had to make it so that it saved what track you had selected, and then if you didn't change that, it would revert back to the track that you have selected when you exited the menu. But then I also had to set it so that like if you're previewing this and let's say track 3, because I kind of like track 3, and then you select it and you purchase it and then you hit back, it doesn't restart the song either. So like it keeps playing. It only changes the song back to the one you have selected if you didn't change it. If you changed which one you had selected, it would like if the one that was playing matched the one that was selected, it would just continue playing rather than change it. But then next, actually, I built this level with this character. And then another issue that I had is when I sent this out for testing, because I downloaded it, I exported it from GameMaker as a zip file, and I attached that zip file to emails, and I emailed it to some friends and a couple family members and stuff. Most of them with being like, hey, test this out. And I told them, I was like, take note of any glitches you find, any bugs that you find. Also, I told them to try to break it. I don't know how you could possibly break a game this simple. There's not a whole lot mechanics wise, because normally when you break a game, you stack mechanics on top of each other and try to get the game confused. There wasn't really enough of that happening in this game to be able to break it in that sense, but I did tell them to try to break it either way. But mostly I just told them to test it and look for any bugs, and they did come back and they found a couple bugs. So initially in the shop, when you were looking at the level preview, which this was actually not an easy thing for me to figure out, what actually I did is I did screen recording, and I recorded each level, and I just removed the player character from the level, let it play for a minute, and then saved the recording, cropped out anything that wasn't the game, and then imported it as a video into the game. And then every time that you run a mouse over it, it draws that video and starts playing it, and then when you remove it, it stops playing the video and deletes it. And I originally had each of these buttons drawing and deleting their own video. But then what would happen is if you like looked at the swamp level and then you went up to the castle level, there was a slight chance that it would continue playing the swamp level instead of changing to the castle one. So what I've done instead is I have an invisible object that hangs out up here in the corner. It only exists while you're in the shop. The game creates it when you enter the shop and then destroys it when you leave the shop. And what it does is it's a video manager, and it sets all the videos. And I found that the bug isn't really there when I do it that way. Another bug that I have is in here. If you have like this jump, right? For instance, if I hit the preview button, it still plays it. Then if I play another one, it'll play that one as well, and then I can change its selection and it'll still play it. But then with the slide, since I have this slide selected, it won't play the sound effect, and then it again won't play the sound effect. And when I first looked into this issue, it was only found for the roll sound effect, which is only really used, well, it can be used by anyone for any character, but it's designed for Mrs. Frog because she doesn't slide, she rolls. So I wanted to have more of a wop 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 to it. But if you're in the menu and you're looking at it, and like you go to the shop and you go to sound effects, it has like that wop 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 wop. It sounds like, you know, she's rolling. But then what's happening is in the game, I'm not 100% sure this is what's happening, but this is what I believe is happening, is when you're rolling, every single frame that you're rolling, it is playing that sound effect again, and then it's set in a loop. So what happens is it stacks on top of each other until you just get a jumbled mess of that sound effect, and it sounds like a buzz. And I do think that if you were to hold it down long enough, then it would probably start increasing in frequency and get higher and higher pitched. But to fix that, it's actually a fairly simple fix. I just have to go if audio sound playing, if audio sound not playing, then play it. And then I thought, okay, done, easy, fixed. But then I did that. I implemented that code, and it still did it. So what I think I'm going to have to do next is I'm going to have to create a Boolean variable, so it's true or false, have it default to false, and then as soon as the sound plays, have it set to true. And then when the sound stops playing, set it back to false, and then have it so that the sound will only initiate playing if that variable is false. So I haven't really gone back to this game in quite a while. I fixed a lot of the bugs that were brought up during testing. That's another thing I really want to stress is get your game tested by as many people as possible. Another issue that I had in testing is that my brother, actually, I sent it to him, and he thought that this was the entire game. He didn't realize that you could go into the shop and buy different levels, buy different characters, buy different music tracks, whole nine. It's just completely oblivious that the shop even existed, which I personally don't understand, right? Like, so my tutorialization in the game is just this one window, how to play, and it just says jump or duck under obstacles to survive as long as you can, gain points for how long you survive, points are converted into currency after each run, spend currency in the shop to purchase new characters, levels, sound effects, and music, and then it gives you a quick rundown of the controls, and I think a few different ways that you can play it. I play it usually with the mouse just because you have to use the mouse to operate the menu anyways, but even if you don't play the how to play screen, you would think that you would look at money earned and you'd be like, okay, so I earned money. Where do I use that money? And then you would look and be like, oh, there's a shop. And you would go in here and be like, oh, look at all this stuff I can buy. But no, he didn't do that whatsoever. And he had no idea that there were different levels and different ways that you could play this game. And then another thing that I didn't quite realize, or didn't quite understand, is like if I go exit game, you get to the title screen, which is also your main menu screen. It gives you a preview of a different level, and I have R, like my R button is set to restart the room, so I can restart it, and it will pick one at random, and it will show you different level previews, right? But you would think that if you were playing this game and you didn't know that there were other levels you could play, that this screen would be a dead giveaway. But I consider the fact that he didn't realize you could do that to not really be my problem. Like I said, I have it in the how to play. So even when he messaged me and he was like, hey, like, is there more to this? I was like, well, did you read the how to play? And I get to absolve myself of fault. And personally, when it comes to tutorialization in games, I don't like having just a how to play. Like, imagine if you were playing... actually, I don't think Stardew Valley really has a tutorialization. But let's say you're playing a Zelda game. And instead of the Zelda game walking you through the controls and the different things you can do, instead it just had a how to play screen, and then you had to remember all of that information going into the game and try to implement it when it comes to mechanics. It's a really poor way to do tutorialization. I was able to justify it with this game, in my opinion, due to the fact that it's so basic and easy, right? But I also didn't think it would really be all that practical to have it so that, like, on your first run, it would, like, you know, you get to your first obstacle and it's like it would pause and be like, jump to avoid, right? And I didn't think that the amount of coding that would take was actually, it's not a lot, but it was a decent amount, and it would have been a decent amount of coding to just have a very small amount of pretty basic information conveyed to the player. Like, he obviously didn't look at the how to play at all, and he still figured out how to play. So obviously being able to learn the mechanics of the game is pretty simple. He only got lost in the sense that he didn't know that there was a store where you could buy more things. But like I said, it's right there in the shop. I also have social media links down here. I have a Discord server. I don't have a Facebook. I do have an Instagram. I'm probably going to swap this Facebook out for YouTube and have it connect to my channel, because I didn't have the channel when I was building this. But But yeah, so this is my game, and it's not all that fancy. And like I said, like restarting the game, I don't have a title. And if you can think of a title, like please, please, please let me know down in the comments. I really do need to name this project. I just haven't named Runner right now. But if you do come up with a name and I decide to use your name, I will credit you for it. In the settings and credits, I will put a thing right here that's, game title by, and then I'll have like your name or like your online alias or a nickname or anything that you want. I'll even put your mom. Like I honestly don't care. If you can think of a good title for this game, please let me know. I've had a couple ideas, but they all kind of suck. Like creating the customizable runner, right? Which is not really a title. It's just kind of like a concept of what it is, But oh yeah, and then in the settings, I have all my sound effects. And you can click this, that'll either mute or max the volume. And then you can also treat it as a slider bar. And then if I were to set the music to like half volume and then set the master to half volume, the music volume is multiplied by the master volume. So by having this in 50 and this at 50, it is as if I have that at 25. Because like 0.5 times 0.5 equals 0.25. But getting all that to work, that was actually a lot. And then not only getting all the sliders to work properly, but also getting it so they worked in conjunction with these was not easy to do. And then if you go in here, you can also change the language at any point in time. And like I said, it is all fully translated without accents on the characters. But yeah, so that's this game. My titleless, untitled, endless runner game. I hope you enjoyed me showing this off to you. I certainly enjoyed making it. Again, if you can think of a title, please let me know. If you liked the game, please comment below that you liked it. It's really nice to get some positive feedback, and it makes me feel good. If you didn't like the game, tell me why. Don't just be like, oh, that game looks like garbage, it sucks. Like, I don't care. You can keep your negative opinions to yourself. If you have constructive criticism and you're like, oh, hey, I think it would have been better if, I would love to hear that. And then if it's a really good idea, maybe I'll even implement it before a final release. If not, it can also just be something that I keep in the back of my mind for when I do future projects. But yeah, with that, I think we're about ready to wrap this video up. So I'm going to thank you very much for watching, for checking out my Untitled Endless Runner game. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. And if you already are a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing to my YouTube. And yeah, with that, I think we're pretty much done here. So peace out.